Welcome everyone to part 1 of our lightning photography tutorial. I'm going to share with you guys the tips and tricks that I've used over the years to capture professional lightning images. In this series we'll go over specific camera settings, shooting in and around severe thunderstorms, essential tools, and other exciting stuff. So let's get started. For camera gear, you are going to need a DSLR or mirrorless camera. You're also going to need a tripod, and you'll want to have an intervalometer or remote cable release. Most of today's cameras already have a built-in intervalometer, so just check your camera's manual to see if you have one. It's an important safety feature to have that we're going to cover later on. To begin, go ahead and set your camera's ISO to 100. Set your aperture at a range around f5.6 to f11. Anywhere in that range is good. And set your exposure times to around 15 to 30 seconds. Also, since you'll be shooting lightning at night, you'll want to turn off autofocus and make sure you're shooting in manual mode, since most cameras simply cannot autofocus well in low light settings. And finally, you'll want to make sure your camera is set to shoot in RAW at maximum quality and not in JPEG. Okay, let's look at some case examples and see how they were captured in the field. Here we have several bright bolts with a background of windmills shot with a Nikon D7100 and the Optica 6.5mm lens. The ISO was 100, aperture was f11, and the exposure time was 30 seconds. Here we have a lightning bolt striking a tower in Newcastle, Oklahoma, 2015. Take it with a Nikon D7100 with a 24x70mm lens. Focal length set to 24mm. ISO was 100. Aperture f5.6. Exposure time was 18 seconds. Here we have a 2020 summer monsoon cell from West Texas taken with a Nikon D7100 with a 24x70mm lens set to 45mm. ISO is 100, aperture was set to f11, exposure time was 8 seconds. Next we have these 3 bolts from a severe squall line in Frisco, Texas. This is easily one of my favorite lightning photos due to the way the shelf cloud gets illuminated. It was taken with a Nikon D90 paired with a 28x200mm lens. ISO was 100, aperture was f8 for 30 seconds. What I like most about this shot is that it shows you don't need expensive gear to get into professional photography. This entire setup costs less than $300. A Nikon D90 camera today sells for just $125 in places like eBay. The lens that was used is the highly rated and very sharp 28x200mm. That same lens sells today for less than $100. Smartphones cost 3 times as much, and yet they can't even begin to compete with the professional results of a $300 DSLR setup when it comes to shooting lightning. It truly is a wonderful thing in that you really don't need expensive camera gear to get into this. For example, this massive bolt strike in Lake Meredith was taken using another so-called cheap lens, the Optica 6.5mm. Even the cheapest gear can be used to great effect in getting professional results when it comes to shooting lightning. Let's cover lightning safety. Lightning is of course the number 2 weather-related killer, and what makes it so dangerous is the fact that it travels at a quarter of the speed of light, and it strikes near instantaneously, and it's also highly unpredictable. It has been said that lightning will tend to go for the tallest object around, but honestly, from what I've seen in the field, it just tends to strike whatever it wants. While chasing storms, you can avoid hazards like giant hail with good positioning, and you can avoid other hazards like tornadoes if you position right, but lightning is impossible to avoid. There's simply no way to counter something that is that fast and that unpredictable. The following video clip shows a close call with a lightning strike and just how dangerous and unpredictable it really is. After that close call among others over the years, I really wanted to find a safer way to shoot lightning, so I designed an aluminum rail system for use inside my chase vehicle, where I could put a bunch of cameras on that, roll the window down, get my lightning shots that way. It works great for lenses like 28, 200mm or higher, but ultra wide angle lenses don't work for this setup because the side frame of the window tends to get in the way and block all the shots. I love taking ultra wide shots, and I wanted to find a safer way to get those as well. I mentioned the use of an intervalometer earlier in this presentation, and it makes shooting lightning much safer. What you'll want to do is set your camera and tripod up facing the lightning storm you want to capture. Next, set your ISO, aperture, and all your camera settings and how long of a shot you want to take. then tell the intervalometer to take X number of shots, for example 100. Using this method allows you to retreat to the safety of your vehicle while your camera keeps shooting. This method is especially useful in situations where a thunderstorm is producing very frequent lightning. By reducing time spent out in the open, you ultimately reduce the risk of getting struck. Obviously, this method will not work in the rain, but then again, you would never want to shoot lightning in the rain anyway, as the best shots come outside of the rain core. This concludes part 1 in our how-to lightning tutorial. In part 2 of this series, we're going to talk about the dangers of shooting in and around severe thunderstorms, hazards to watch out for, really exciting stuff planned for week 2, where we'll also cover even more tips and tricks on shooting lightning. As always, if you guys do have any comments or questions, please do leave those in the comment section below. I do read all the comments, and insight that you guys give kind of gives me feedback about where we might take a future video. But if there is something specific that you would like more information on, please just let me know what that is, and I'll see if we can't get that out there for you guys in a future video. I want to thank everyone again for watching. Please do hit that subscribe button. You guys have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time.